Hey, Shalom, Shalom, stuff. Souls by giving no praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kadash, that belongs to the apostle of great Most High, and honors you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the real name of whom the Lord equals God, Jehovah. Yahweh's real name is Yahweh. The Son's true name is Yahweh Shai, and when we pray Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba meaning in, Ha meaning then, Shah meaning names Yahweh, and the name of Yahweh Shai. This is a quick one. I actually saw the notification for this today, but apparently it was from 5 days ago. But it says black Hispanic people disproportionately suffer MP, but few are getting the new juice early data shows. Slovakia. Right, and I found this very interesting because this was exactly the same thing that happened with the CV, right? Where CV Jake were immune from the CV at first, and all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, you see it's these blacks and Hispanics, right? Which there's the tribes, okay? These so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, right? That's the tribes. And my first thing was like, yo, hey, East was coming, East was coming for Jake. Right, this is that that angling, that making Jake the enemy, and you're seeing all of these videos as well of Jake's just being buffoons all around the world, man. We've had a couple of instances over here in the UK. You've constantly got examples over there in the States, right? So basically, first thing that I thought was, yo, this man is making us an enemy. However, when I was reading through the article also, there was the other side of it, basically highlighting just how you got Jake that basically are living this lifestyle and are being punished for it, right? Because this is it. Let me grab this real quick. This is Amos 3:1-2. Right, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I'll punish you for all your iniquities. Right, so because the Lord deals with Israel, right, he punishes Israel for their wickedness, right? And with these heathen nations, right, they do certain things, and they quote unquote, it appears like they get away with it, right? We know that ain't true. We know that the Lord is long suffering. We know that the Lord marks and records everything that's happened, and these people get their just their rewards for their wickedness, right? But shows that a Jake be getting down, man, with this alphabet stuff, man, right? As such, they need to the Lord is meeting them. Right, there's about 17,500 cases of the virus have been identified across the nations, right? So-called black people make up 12%. Make up a third of cases compared with their 12% of population, and it says Hispanics, so-called Hispanics or Latinos, so-called make up 32% of cases, right? Or which you call it of cases, despite making up 19% of the population according to the data, right? So in fact, even as I'm reading that, that's a third, right? This was a third, and Latinos make up around about another third. So that's 2/3 of cases. Right? We know what the scriptures say when about the 2/3, right? Sirach 13. Even as I'm just seeing that now, I'm like, yo, that's something, man. Right, it says, and it shall come, as Zechariah 13:8, it says, shall come to pass that in all the land, right, land singular meaning America, right, saith Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, right? So 2/3 of our people in the land of Israel, they're going to be cut off and die, man, right? So, but the third shall be left therein. Now, when you really look at that, that basically means the land of America. Because it's just Israel, right? If you're not of the 1/3 and you're on the land of America, you're gonna die. There ain't no if buts or maybes about it. If you're Moabite, if you're Edomite, if you're Ammonite, right? If you're Japhite, if you're anything other than 1/3, the 1/3, deemed for salvation, of the elect, basically. When those missiles hit, you're gonna die. That basically means the Lord's gonna kill hundreds of millions of people on that land. Okay, the Lord's gonna kill hundreds of millions of people on that land, man. Alright, so now bring the third part through the fire, and we'll find them as silver is refined. and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh is my power. Right? So those deemed for salvation, they gon' they gonna be purified, right? But one of the things that says they shall call on my name, right? Meaning the name is important, right? Which is why when we start videos, we give all praises to Yahweh, which is the name of the Father, and Yahusha, which is the name of the Son, right? But yeah, continuing on, right? So I literally just saw that this is a third, right, and then another third, basically, right? But there's another thing further down, right? Would I see it? Right, it says the administration 10,000 vials of the new juice will be allocated to targeted smaller scale equity interventions. They hope to get more juices to people who cannot access online appointment schedule and those who face stigma related to attending public drives, right? Because when you see them public drives, right, you basically see a whole load of ease, man. Right, I remember seeing one here in the UK, and all you saw was E's. You had one or two Elam in there, and yeah, you would have one or two Jakes in there, but you just saw bare E's, right? And this was in this was in London, where it's very multicultural, right? It says yes, so who face stigma related to attending public drives, right? That may require disclosure of sexual identity, i.e., they're doing it down low, right? And I saw something else in there. I don't want to read all of it. I forgot what I found, but basically, it was basically saying how, the stigma doesn't necessarily exist, for these so-called white people. Oh, here it is. It says being a man who abuses himself with mankind, right? A man in the black population, even in the Hispanic population, so-called, right, is in many ways much more stigmatizing than in the white, so-called white population. Why? Because he gets down like that anyway, right? He's a freak. We can read that in the scriptures, right? In fact, even goes and says, this in the book of Job, right? So Job 30 from the top says, but now they that are younger than I, right, have me in derision, right? Whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Why? Because these devils, right, would have laid down with those dogs, and you basically see how these individuals maneuver. Right? You see how they are. You see how they, the freaky stuff that they do. Right? There are certain states where it's there is no judgment for laying down with animals. Okay. But let's grab this also because Jake's been what's the word I'm looking for? Jake's been because this here is proven. You got a lot of Jake that are that are on the down low, man. You got a lot of Jake that are on the down low, right? But just this is Rome all over again because this is the letter that Paul wrote to the Romans. This is for this Romans 1:26, for this cause God the Most High gave them up unto vile affections, and for a man to have lusts for another man, or a woman to have lust for another woman, that's a vile affection. That is a heavy demon on that individual, right? That is a heavy demon on that individual, and the proof of that is, would you call how you've always with the men on men groupings, right? You always have one that is the more effeminate one, and they all sound the same, right? Then you also have the in the woman on woman groupings where you'll have the quote unquote masculine one, and they all have a certain energy about them, right? The word used it begins with a D, right? This is Isaiah 3:9. It says the show of their countenance doth witness against them, right? And they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Right? This is an example of evil. Right? This MP, right, is an example of that evil that they've rewarded unto themselves, because the Lord is very justified in doing this. Okay, he's just because he's told our people not to do it, but guess what? They continue to do it. That's why they gotta be on the download. That's what even said in the article, that they what do you call it? They, it's much more stigmatizing, right, in the so-called Black and Hispanic communities than it is in the so-called white communities, right? So it just says of these other nations, right? The Most High is not at all in their thoughts. Okay, I believe that's in reference to Esau specific. I forget. Let me grab it. It says Psalms 10:4. It says the wicked, right, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not at all, is not in all his thoughts, right? Yeah, it says, yeah, but and there's examples. Cornelius sought after the Most High, right? But Edomites don't have that spirit to seek after the Most High. Okay, so continue on where were we? Romans 1:26. For this cause the Most High gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature, right? I.e., woman with woman. Okay. Says, and likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, right? Men with men working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves the recompense of their error, which was meat, right? Which once again, that is that MP. That's one of the things. You had the HIV, now you got the MP, right? And anything else that the Lord is gonna bring upon them. It says Deuteronomy 28:61. It says, also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, then will Yahweh bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. Right? So one of the curses that would be upon us anyway, right, is the Lord would smite us with these different sicknesses, these different plagues, right? But which could be another reason why the Lord is definitely targeting and making it such that if this story is to be believed, because we also got to remember that he is the devil, right? But that's another reason why, right? Because the Lord, as we read in Amos, the third chapter, basically he gets Israel, right? When Israel goes off, he gets them. When we get sick, when we're ill, those are just demons, right? That have been put on us. That's why you can take the herbs. What does it say in terms of the herbs to make sure you have pray, to make sure you pray, because it is the Most High ultimately that heals sicknesses, right? You have the count with I think it was Peter's wife's a mother when she was sick. Right, and Yahushua came, and what did Yahushua do? He rebuked the fever, right? And then the fever left her, right? So So yeah, like I said that was one of the points that I kind of took from this article. But then the other side of it was, once again, like I was saying, the fact that E is making Jake an enemy, right? Once again, it's first the CV, now the MP. Now you got all of the crime that Jake is committing. I saw one campaign ad, which basically it was saying, in these Democrat-run cities, it was just showing lots of videos of Jake just being criminals, right? So the criminalization of our people is coming, right? And then more and more so, because who they really care about criminalizing is those that teach the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. As Revelation 12:12 says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Right? So he's starting to really put the pressure on Jake. Right? He's starting to, to get at Jake and make Jake that enemy, man. Right? So hey, we gotta be circumspect of this. right? But this is we must all know that this is what we came into this thing for, right? We must know that this is a part of the trial, right? It says Matthew the 10th chapter. And the 18th verse, right? It says, and ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles, right? So this is one of the things that's going to happen. We're going to be brought before these different, powers that be, right? The beginning of that is E making Jake an enemy, right? Because ultimately to E we are his enemies. Ezekiel the 35th chapter goes into how we Esau's had a perpetual hatred for us, right? And everything. But yeah, I mean I could go on, but I think the point's been made. He's now saying that Jake is the face of monkeypox now. Okay. And he's really getting ready to make Jake that enemy. As always, Lords, without edifying. Till next time we say Shalom.